Before we dive into the code, I would like to show you guys a quick demo of what we'll be building together. So here we have our dashboard, and in the dashboard we have the sidebar and the navigation bar. So right in the navigation bar we have our button that toggles the sidebar, and here we have the search bar. Then we have the theme toggle button that swaps in between the light and dark theme. Then we have our notification button here that shows us notifications, and right here we have our settings button, then the profile button right here. Here in the sidebar you can see some links. We have the dashboard link, the cards page link, we have transfer, transaction, reports, settings, and authentication. Right here we have our profile name and job. We have web developer and Steve Williams. Then right here in the dashboard we have the status cards. Then here we have our two charts that displays total monthly income and total monthly transfer. Then down here we have transaction history, which is a table that displays the transaction history. Then next we have our cards page right here, and in the cards page we also have the status cards. We have this cards carousel, then we have the add card button right here. So down here we have the cards table that displays every card in this account, and when you click on any card it takes us to the card detail page right here. So in our card detail page we also have this transaction history for each card. Then next in the card list we also have this pagination right here, and next we have the transfer page right here, and this should be quite easy to understand. So right here we input a number which is an account number, and here we have recent accounts that have been transferred to and favorite accounts. So when you add a number to the input and click on confirm, it shows us the account number and the account name and the bank name. So when we click on next, it takes us to amounts to send page, and when you click on an amount it appears right here in the input. You can click on continue to make the payment right here. So next we have the transactions page, which is just basically transaction history once more, and right after that we have our reports page that shows financial reports of each currency in our website. Here we have USD, Euro, Yen, and BTC. Then down here we have the total monthly transfer charts once more. Right here we also have our total credit status, withdrawal, savings growth, wallet balance. Then next we have the settings page, and it's quite easy. It's just like every other settings page. We have the profile settings right here, we have security settings, we have notification settings, then we have payment settings. And the next one is going to be the authentication pages, which right in here we have our sign up page. Then next we have the sign in page, and next we have our sign in QR page right here. And after this we have the error page, should be right here. Actually we have the logout page before error, so this is it. We have logout, and right after logout we have the error page. This is it, and that's all guys. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Before we begin, I need to make sure that you have a version of Node.js that is compatible with your system. So what you have to do is head over to your browser and search for Node right here in your browser, and when you click on this link it's going to take you to the Node.js website, and all you have to do is click on this button right here, install Node.js, and select a version that is compatible with your system. It can be macOS for Apple or Windows for HP and other systems. So next we are going to install Git for our GitHub repository and push into GitHub, and also hosting our website on Vercel. And the icon we are going to be using is Lucid icon from Lucid React. So the next thing we have to do is create a file right here. Let's create a folder, and as you can see I already have mine. It's called Swift Pay, so let's create a new one. This time around let's call it Swift Pay with 2 Y's like this, Swift Pay. And we're going to open up our Visual Studio Code. So now all we have to do is drag our file right here and drop it inside VS Code. And next we're going to head straight to the terminal. Click on this button and click on New Terminal. Then right inside our terminal we're going to install some packages for our project. The first package we're going to install is Vite, So let's say npm. Actually, we are going to use command prompt instead of PowerShell. So let's head over to command prompt, and right inside here, we're going to say npm install. Actually, it's going to be create, not install. Let's say npm create vite at latest dot. Since we already have a file, but if we don't have a file, we're supposed to give it a name. So let's click on enter to install Vite. This will take a couple of minutes, so let's be patient. And as you can see, we already have our prompt. It says okay to proceed to install Vite version 7.0.0. So let's click on Y and yes. So let's wait for a few minutes, and as you can see, it's done. That was quite fast. So what we're going to select here is a framework. What we need is React. So let's use our arrow keys to select React, and next we're going to select JavaScript. We need JavaScript for the project, and as you can see, we have some files already right here. So next we're going to go ahead and run npm install to install our node modules and other important dependencies. So let's run npm install. This will take a couple of minutes, so let's be patient. And as you can see, our node modules and other files have been installed. So the next file we are going to install, actually it's a package, not a file, but we are going to be installing Tailwind CSS next for our project. So let's run npm install Tailwind CSS, and we're going to say at Tailwind /vite. We have to make sure this is correct so it doesn't return any error. So let's go over it again. Npm install tail. As you can see, there's a mistake right there. This is supposed to be Tailwind CSS and Tailwind /vite. Now it's correct. Let's click on enter to install our Tailwind CSS. I think there's an error cause right here it says npm error code E404. I think the error is from right here. Since it's giving us a lot of errors, let's head over to the Tailwind website and see what we can do. So let's search for Tailwind right here. Inside the website, we should be able to see the CDN for Vite. So let's click on this. So let's go to docs. So right here we have using Vite, which is Tailwind for Vite. So I think we might be getting these errors because our version of Vite is not compatible with Tailwind CSS. So what we have to do is downgrade to the last version of Vite. So we have to run this command right here, npm install Vite at 6. So let's run this command to downgrade back to Vite 6. And after that, we can try our command once more. This command right here, and it should install Tailwind properly. So let's try it once more. And as you can see right here, our Tailwind have been installed. So let's go ahead and install other packages. The next package is going to be React Router DOM. So let's say npm install React Router DOM. So let's run our command. And I think the next package is going to be React Apex charts for this charts right here. Let me show you guys for this chart right here. So for the charts, let's run npm install React Apex charts Apex charts. I hope this command is correct. And as you can see, the command is correct for the Apex charts. And the next package we're going to install is our icons. So let's say npm install Lucid React, and let's click on enter to install our package. And just like that, our Lucid React have been installed. So now what we have to do is install the carousel. So let's say npx shard cn. It's actually going to be shard cn at latest add carousel. I think it's going to take a few seconds, so let's be patient. Install and create a component.json file. So what we have to do is click on yes. We need the file for the carousel to work. It says Tailwind CSS configuration at SwiftPay. It is likely you do not have Tailwind CSS installed or have an invalid configuration. Let's skip that. I don't think it's an error. When we try it to see if Tailwind works or not, we'll find out if we have an error or not. So let's go ahead and install our autoplay for the carousel. What we have to do is run npm install imbla -carousel -autoplay. This is the autoplay feature for the carousel. So let's install this. And what we're going to install next is our OTP list. So let's say npm list input -OTP. And this OTP is going to be for our payments OTP. And next, let's go ahead and install. I think that's all the packages we need. Let's go ahead and run npm run dev so we can see what our project looks like at the moment. So all you have to do is hover on this and click on follow link to open up our website. So let's see what we have. And as you can see right here, we have Vite and React running smoothly. So let's go ahead and test out if Tailwind works or not. So let's head over to app.jsx, and right in here, we just have to give this a class name. So let's say text red 500. I don't think it works. This should change the color of this text right here. So let's find out what the problem is. I think the problem is because we haven't added Tailwind to our Vite config file. So let's head right into the file, and right in here, we have to import Tailwind up here. So let's say import Tailwind CSS from Tailwind CSS /Vite. And right in here, we're going to say import parts from path. Then next we have to add Tailwind right inside the plugins. So beside React, we're going to add a comma, then we're going to say Tailwind CSS with a bracket, then a comma right there. And what you have to add next is our layers for the source. So let's get down here after these plugins and add resolve, then a semicolon and a curly braces. Now inside here, we're going to say alias and another semicolon and a curly braces. Now let's see if our Tailwind CSS works. I don't think it works yet. It might be another problem. Let's complete our alias. So let's say add semicolon, and here we're going to say parts dot resolve, and in here we're going to have underscore dir name, and we're going to say source. Now the Tailwind CSS should work. Guys, I think the error was actually right in front of us, but I made a mistake and I missed it. So all you have to do is get down here and import Tailwind CSS in our CSS file. So let's copy this and paste it right in there in our file. So right in here, we're going to paste the imports up here in app.css. So let's go ahead and find out if it actually works. And while I was at it looking for the error, I created two more files. I created tailwind config.js, and also I created jsconfig.json. The files do not come with our installations, so you have to create them manually, and that should do it. Now let's see if our Tailwind CSS works. And as you can see right here, the color have been changed to red. Now let's actually make sure that it works. Let's say text XL to increase the size of the text. And as you can see, it works. So first we have to close the tabs we don't need anymore. So let's close Git, Node, and Tailwind. So actually we also have to close this Tailwind right here. So the next thing we are going to create is our navbar, but before that we need to clean up this page so we can have a clean working environment. So what we have to do now is delete everything inside this div. I think it's not an actual div. We have to delete everything inside the fragments. So we're going to turn the fragments to a div, and let's remove this, we don't need it. And we're also going to clear out everything inside our Tailwind CSS apart from the import. So let's delete this, and next we're going to go ahead, let's close this tab and this other two. So now let's clear out our index CSS also, we don't need anything inside it. So now let's see what we have next. We have our navbar in the dashboard. So the first one I'm going to create is the navigation bar. But before that, I think we have to set up our app.jsx to look just like what we want for navigation, since all this navigation is being done using our app.jsx and the main file. So let's go ahead and do that. So right inside the app.jsx, we are going to remove every file we don't need anymore. Sorry, every importation. So the first one I'm going to remove is React logo and Vite logo. And next we are going to import our React router DOM and its elements. So first we're going to install browser router, and next actually we have to install browser router as router, and next we're going to import, not install, we're going to import routes. Then next we're going to import route, and they are going to be coming from React router DOM. And next we're going to go ahead and let's see, we're going to install a fonts family, but I don't think that is very important right now. Let's add a class name right in here, and we're going to set the height to 100 VH, and right in here we're going to define our routes. So let's say router, and inside it we're going to have routes. Actually this has to be a tag, and inside the routes we're going to have our single routes. So let's say route is actually going to be a self-closing tag, just like this. Let's say routes, then slash. So this is going to be the part. Actually in React, routes and routes actually works just like our anchor tag in HTML, with the ones we click in to take us to other pages. But this time around, what you can see right here is the links and nav link that are being used in React.js. So right in here we can go ahead and type in slash. This means that whenever we click on this link, it's going to bring us back to the home page. But if we actually give it a part like slash, let's say cards, whenever we click on it, it's going to take us to the card page if the cards page is available. So let's leave it as slash, and right in here we're going to say element, and next we're going to say equal to let's say dashboard, but we don't have dashboard yet. Let's create dashboard before any other thing. And I think we actually need a components folder. So right inside source we're going to create a components folder. Let's create a folder and call it components. So right inside components we are going to create our dashboard .jsx, and inside it we're going to run RAFCE to create a workspace automatically, and right in here we're going to say dashboard. Now let's get right here and import our dashboard in app.jsx. So let's say import. I think we also need an index.jsx file in here so we can use barrel exports. So here we're going to say export default. I think barrel exports need index.jsx and actually the name. So the name here is going to be dashboard. So let's say export default as dashboard, and it's going to be coming from /dashboard. I think this should do it, and let's head over to dashboard and make sure we have the imports. Then next we're going to import it in app.jsx. So right here, let's say import dashboard from components, and right in here our element is going to be dashboard, just like this. Let's make sure that it's actually correct, because if it's not correct, it should throw an error in the page right here. And as you can see, we have dashboard, there is no error, so this is perfect. And this dashboard is the text we added right inside our dashboard components. So if you change this to something else, it should appear right there. So everything is working perfectly. Let's go ahead and create our navbar next. So what you have to do here is create another component and call it navbar.jsx. Now we're going to run our fce once more, and right inside here we're going to have navbar. Next we're going to also export our navbar right here. Let's say navbar, and I'm going to show you guys just how navigation works. So right here, let's also call it navbar once more, and inside app.jsx we're going to import it right here. That's an error. Let's copy this and paste it beside the dashboard, and we're going to create another element. This time around, the name of our path is going to be navbar, which means when we click on this route, it's going to take us to the navbar page. But navbar is not supposed to be a page, it's supposed to be a component that appears on every other component. So right in here we're going to paste navbar, and inside navbar.jsx, let's see what we have. We only have the navbar text, so let's create a link right here. This link also works just like an anchor tag in HTML. So let's say import link from React router DOM. So beside our dashboard, we're going to create a link tag, and inside it, let's call it path to navbar. So this time around, instead of ahref or href in HTML, what you are going to use in React is to and equal to the path name. So the path name here is going to be navbar, just for the navbar page. So let's find out if it works. So let's see, when you click on this, it should take us to the navbar page. And as you can see, we are now in the navbar page. That is a clear example of how React router DOM, its links and nav links works. So let's head right back. Now inside our navbar, let's close app.css and index.css. CSS. And right inside here, we have to go ahead and create our navbar. So let me show you guys what it's going to look like. Our navbar is going to look just like this, and it's going to be quite responsive. It has the light and dark mode, theme, and it also has the notification drop down, settings drop down, and the profile drop down. And it also has the search bar, and when we're on the smaller screens, the search bar should become a modal, just like this. It's not too complicated, and I'm sure we're going to have fun building this together. So next, let's go ahead and create the navbar components. So right inside here, let's remove, I don't think we have to remove it yet. What we have to do is see what we are building for now. So all we have to do is say import. Let's remove this for now. We don't need the sidebar. Let's say comma. We need use state, use effect, and use ref. So right in here, I'm going to say use state, use effect, and use ref. Now we have to get down here next and import. Let's see, we are going to need some icons. We have to import them up here. Let's import our icons from Lucid React. So let's say import search. It's going to be coming from dot slash. Actually, we don't need dot slash. We're just going to say Lucid React. This is actually the search icon we have right here. And next, we're going to import the next icon. It's going to be align, justify, and the X icon. Align justify is the icon right here, and X icon is the one in our modal. So what we have to do next is go ahead and create, let's see, we need to define the state for our modal. So right in here, we're going to say const search modal, and we're going to say set search modal, and we're going to set it, we're going to set the use state. We actually need the use state, not use effect. The use state is going to be false for now, and false actually means that the modal is not open, and when we click on the button to set the use state to true, it now means that the modal is now open. So what we have to do next, let's start creating our navbar. So right in here, we're going to give it a class name, and we need sticky. If you notice, the navbar sticks to the top no matter the part of the page we scroll to. The navbar stays at the top, and that is just what sticky does. So we're going to set stop to 0, and we're going to set the index to 60 to make sure it stays on top of other elements in our website. So next, we're going to create a nav tag right in here. Let's create a nav tag, and inside it, we're going to give it, let's give it a class name. So right in here, we're going to add curly braces and some backticks right inside it. And after that, we're going to add flex items center. And then next, we're going to have justify between, and we're going to add border B, which is border bottom, and we're going to add border gray 100. The next, we're going to add dark border, which is for the dark mode, not just dark dash border. It's actually going to be the border in our dark mode. If you notice, we already have a dark theme and a light theme right here, so they actually use different borders. So in the dark theme, our border is going to be, let's say, border gray 800. The next, we're going to add dark. In the dark theme, our shadow, let's say shadow is going to be LG. Then we're going to add a margin bottom of 4, and BG is going to be white. Now we're going to have dark, and in the dark theme, our background, which is BG, is going to be gray 900. Then next, we're going to set padding to 3, and MD is going to be not MD, and the medium screen width, our PY, which is padding for top and bottom, is going to be 2, and width is going to be full. So after we set width to full right here, which also means 100% width, we need to get right inside the nav tag and create a div. And in the div, we're going to have our class name. We're going to have flex items center. Then we're going to add a gap of 3. Then on medium screen width, the gap is going to become 5. Now right inside here, we're going to create a button. And this button is going to be our toggle button that is right in the navigation bar right here. So let's go ahead and create our button. And if you look right here in our own website, you can already see our nav bar over there. So what we're going to do now is give this a class name. And here we're going to say, let's add group. And I'm going to explain later on what this group class does. So let's set height to fit. And we're going to set cursor to pointer. Then next, we're going to set the border radius, which is rounded to full, which means 100% border radius. And next, we're going to set the padding to 2. Then background is going to be none. We don't need any background for the button. Then on hover, we're going to set the background to green 100. And then in the dark theme, our background on hover is going to be BG gray 800. Now let's set the opacity of the button. Opacity here is going to be 100, and that should do it for our button. Now we need to get right inside it and add the icon we just imported. So here, let's create a tag. This is going to be a self-closing tag, and inside icon we need to add some attributes. The first one is going to be size. It's going to be 24, and we're going to set stroke width, which means the size of the icon. Sorry, that is not size. This is size here already. Stroke width means how thick the icon is going to look. So let me go ahead and show you guys. So here, let's say stroke width, and stroke width is going to be 1. Now the class name for the icon is going to be group hover, text green 300. So guys, group hover here and group here simply means that whenever we hover on this button, this hover effect is going to take place. Instead of hovering on the icon itself, we're going to hover on the button to toggle this hover effect right here. So after group hover here, we're going to go ahead and set dark theme text. So we're going to say on the dark theme, our text, actually what we need here is going to be green 500, not 300. So on the dark theme, let's set our text color, which is the icon's color, to text gray 100. Then I think we need to set the group hover on the dark theme also. Let's say dark, then I'm going to say group hover, and we're going to set it to text green 500. I don't want you guys to be confused, so let's make this much more clearer and understandable. So you guys should notice that we have a hover effect here, and they are quite different based on the theme that we are on. Right now on the dark theme, you can notice that our background hover for this button is gray, but in the light theme, the background hover is going to be green. So that's what we've been setting up for this while with group hover, and also dark theme hover. So let's continue. So the next thing we're going to do is create our modal. We already have search modal here, which is this modal in the smaller screen. This modal right here. That is what we are about to create. So let's go ahead and do that. To create the modal, we just need to get right outside this button down here. Then we're going to say search modal. I think there's a mistake. I removed this use state. So let's copy this and bring it down here. So we're going to say search modal, and we're going to check if search modal is true. Let's say search modal, and then right inside this bracket, we're going to create a div. This means that if the search modal state is true, this is what the modal will look like. And as you guys can see, the modal is not available right here because it's on false right now. But on the smaller screen, when we click on this button to toggle it to true, it appears, which means it's now true. Now inside here, all we have to do is create this div, and it's going to have a class name. So let's get right inside it and give it a class name. So basically, this is going to be the styling for our modal. And if you guys notice, our modal right here has this shadow on the smaller screen. This shadow that appears whenever we toggle the modal, and we can also click on the shadow to close the modal right here. So let's go ahead and create the shadow. So to create the shadow, we need this div, and here we're going to say let's give it flex. Then we're going to say items center. Actually, let's use start. Then we're going to set justify. So start. Then next we're going to set position to fixed. Then for the medium screen width, to make the modal disappear, we're going to set MD static, which means our position is going to be changed from fixed to static whenever we are from this part of the screen and above. If you notice, whenever we get outside here, even if the modal is toggled, whenever we slide up, we maximize our screen, the modal is going to disappear automatically and bring back the normal search bar. So now let's head right back. Next, after static, we have to set top to 0 to make sure it sticks to the top of our website, and the index is going to be 100 and left is going to be 0. Next, I'm going to set the background of the shadow. So let's give it a color. Let's use 0000000A2. I think this should work, but let's find out if it actually works. To find out, let's set stop to 200 here to see if the shadow appears. It's nowhere to be found, so I think it might be because of this static, these positions. What we're going to do is remove this. Let's see. Then we're going to give it a width. I don't even think we need to do all this. Let's just carry on. Later on, we're going to find out whether the shadow works or not when we head over to the smaller screen for the mobile devices. So next, let's set BG white on the medium screen rate. So let's say BG white, then in the dark theme, we're going to say dark BG. Okay, it actually has to be MD dark BG gray 900. So next, we just have to go ahead and set width to full, and height is going to be 100 VH. Next, we need to set from the medium screen width, height is going to be feet, and padding is going to be 5. So next, from the medium screen width, we don't need any padding, so let's set padding to 0. Then we're going to set MD from the medium screen width, background is going to be gray 900. For the this should be for the dark theme, but we're going to find out later on. As you can see, our navbar is beginning to look so much more like what we want. And if you notice right here in the search bar, we are still in the navbar component. So let's continue. The next thing we're going to create is let's see the div that holds the search bar and these remaining icons right here. So let's get down here after this div. Then right in here, we're going to create another div. So this is going to actually be our model. So let's say ref, and the ref here is going to be model ref. So I think there might be an error. Let's see. Let's find out what the error is. I think I just found what the error is. This div right here actually has to be part of this shadow. It has to be inside the shadow, since the shadow is the parent element. So let's continue. After this model ref, we're going to give this a class name. So we're going to have rounded LG. Then next we're going to set BG to white, and on the dark theme, BG is going to be gray 900. Then next we're going to set from the medium screen width dark from the medium screen width, and in the dark theme, BG is going to be gray 900. This actually has to be gray. There has to be an A right there. So after that, we're going to set shadow on the dark theme. So let's say dark shadow, and it's going to be 2XL. Then next, we're going to set on the medium screen width, we're going to set dark shadow is going to be XS. Then next, we're going to set padding to 5, and on medium screen width, we're going to set the padding to 0. And next, we're going to set our width to full, and that's all the class we need for this div right here. Now, right inside the div, we're going to have our form tag, but the form tag needs a parent div. So let's give this a class name. And here we're going to set this to flex, items, center, and gap is going to be 4. Now right inside here, we're going to have our form tag. I don't think we need action. Then inside the form tag, we're going to have our inputs. So let's change type to type should be text. Then our placeholder here is going to be search dot. Next, we're going to give this a class name. Here we're going to have border, and we're going to set border to 1. Then the border color is going to be gray 200. Then in the dark theme, border color is going to be gray 700. Next, we're going to set from the medium screen width our dark theme border. Let's say border here is going to be gray 8. This is supposed to be gray 800, and I think that should do it. So let's get right here and set text color to gray 700. Then next, we're going to set this input to required. So it has to, if you guys notice, the input right here is required, which means you can't search without putting something in the input field. So let's go ahead and set this to required, and that should do it for our input. So the next thing we have to create is the button right here, the search button. So let's get outside the input, and here we're going to create a button. Let's give this a class name, and it's going to be hidden, but from the median screen rate, the position, actually it's not position, we're going to set the display from hidden to block. Then next we're going to set position to absolute, and right is going to be 0, then height will be full. Next we need to set the background to green 400, and in the dark theme our background, which is BG, is going to be green 500. Next we're going to set px, which is padding for left and right. Px is going to be 5. Then we're going to set the border radius, which is rounded. Here rounded is going to be top right 8 px. If you guys notice, we have border radius at the top right and bottom right, but we don't have any border radius at the bottom left and top left. So let's copy this one more time, paste it right here, and I'm going to change this to BR, which means bottom right. So next, let's get outside this tag, and I think what we need to set here is text size, so which is going to be size of our icon. So here let's set text to 1 EM. Then we can get right outside here and set transition. Let's say transition is in out, which is the hover effect for our button. Then we're going to set duration, which is the hover effect duration. Here let's say duration, and it's going to be 0.3 seconds. And we're going to set cursor to pointer. Now that should do it for our button class. Now inside the button, we just have to define our icon the same way we define the align justify icon right up there. So this is the search icon. You can just copy it since we've already imported it, paste it right here, and that should do it. Let's see what it looks like. I don't think it's right here for some reason. Let's find out what the problem is. I don't think there's actually any problem since our modal is set to false, which means if we're trying to get it as true, our modal, which is the search bar, will not be visible at the moment. So what we have to do is this. Let's look at our modal right here. If you guys notice, this is the search input for the modal, and what we've created right now is search input for the navbar. So it means that our modal is not yet true. We need to set the modal logic later on, and when it's true, our search input will become visible. So what we have to do next is finish the styling for our icon. Now we're going to set the size to 20, and the stroke width here is going to be 3. Now we don't need all these styles for our icon. We need to remove this. Just set margin right to 2, and that should do it. Next, we're going to set the color. Let's add color right here, and color here is going to be white. So next, we need to add some styles for our form tag. So let's get right inside it, create a class name. So here we're going to say flex, then we're going to set width to full, and position is going to be relative. Then we're going to set on the medium screen width. Our width is going to be 400 px. I think this should do it for our form input for now. So the next thing we have to create, I think let's get down here and create the close button for the modal. So outside this form tag, we need to create another button. So this time around, it's going to be the close button that you see right here in the modal, this close button. So let's create that. So to create that, we need this class name. We're going to set cursor to pointer. Then on the medium screen width, we're going to set display to hidden. Display is going to be hidden here. Then next, we're going to set text to gray. Text is going to be gray. Then actually we need to set it to gray 500 for the color gradient. Then dark theme text color is going to be white. Next, we're going to set the hover effect here. We're going to have hover text red 400. Then next we're going to set tag theme hover effect to hover text red 400. We're going to set transition to colors for the color transition effect. Then we need to get our icon right in here inside the button. So let's place this right there. And what we need here is the X icon that we've already imported up there. This is the X icon right here. So we don't need all this. All we need is stroke width and size. So let's remove this and this. Then we're going to I don't think we need anything else. We need stroke width to be 3. Actually, we need it to be 4. Make it a bit thicker. Then size is going to be 23. So next we're going to create the search, the recent search right here. Here we have recent search. So let's create that. We need to get outside this div. Then down here we're going to create another div. On MD, this div is going to be hidden. Then margin top is going to be 5. Now right inside here we need to create a h1 tag. Inside this we're going to have recent search. Then we're going to give a class name to this. Here we're going to have font semi-bold. Then next we're going to set text to LG, which is the text size. Then text gray here, which is the color. Text gray is going to be 600. Next, on the dark theme, our text color here is going to be text gray 200. Then margin bottom is going to be 3. Now let's go ahead and create the recent search right here. As you can see, we have a variety of different searches. We have bank transfer field, add new card, pending transaction search, payment history search, refund request search. So let's create this. As you can see, this looks nice and it's also not hard coded, because if it's hard coded, our code is going to begin to look rough. So let's go up here and create an array for our recent search. So to create the array should be quite easy. All we have to do is get right here after our icon. So we're going to say const, and the name of this const is going to be recent searches. Now let's create a bracket. Then let's see if we can copy this. Yes, we can copy it. That should make things much more easier. So now we just need to let's create this, a string and a comma at the front of it. This should make things much more faster and easier, but I'm sorry, since you guys are going to have to type things out, I'm just going to copy and paste mine to make things faster. So let's create more of this. So let's copy, and here I'm going to paste this. An error is going to appear since it all has to be on one line. I think we might actually have to type this. So I'm just going to take some time out and type it. You guys can type it gradually. So this right here is exactly what our array is supposed to look like. I took some time out and added all the text we need inside our array. So all we have to do right now is go down there and iterate over the array to get the recent search. So let's get down here after the recent search text. So down here, what we have to do is create a UL tag. So here we're going to say UL, and inside the UL tag, we have to give this a class name. Then here we're going to set max height to 300 px. We need a bracket for this, 300 px. Now after our height, we're going to set overflow to auto, and text color here is going to be gray 600 for the light theme. Then text size is going to be SM. Then on the dark theme, our text color is going to be, let's set it to text gray 200. The next one is set space Y, which works just like gap. Now space Y here is going to be 4, and inside the URL tag we're going to use our array, our recent searches array. So to use the array, all you have to do is call the name of the array. It's recent searches. We're going to say recent searches dot map. Now in here we just have to say item, and that's going to be, actually we can use search, It doesn't really matter whatever you name this. You can call it item, search, or whatever, but let's use item. So here we're going to say index, and we're going to create our, we're going to use our arrow function right here. So let's add our arrow, then a bracket right in front of this. Then we're going to need a list tag for all the text. Inside here, we're going to set our key to index. Then right in here, we're going to set this to item to list every item in the array, which is the text. I don't think this will work yet since our array is not yet true. Sorry, since the model is not yet true. When we set the model to true, then you guys can see what our model looks like. For now, let's create the search input that is supposed to be right here. So let's go ahead and create our search input. So right outside this div here, after this div and this bracket, we need to get right outside here and create what you guys are seeing right here is what the model will look like when the state is false. But if the state is true, then this input is going to appear. Sorry, if the state is false, this input is going to appear. But if the state is true, our model is going to be the only thing you can see here instead of the search inputs. So let's go ahead and set that. So we're going to say, we need an exclamation mark here. We're going to say search model. This exclamation mark and search model actually means if search model is not true. This is what we are going to have right inside the navigation bar. So in here, we're going to create another form tag. Actually, we might use the same things we already have here. Let's see if it's usable. I don't think it is. It's not the same thing. So let's create new ones. Here we're going to say form, and we're going to give it a class name. Here we need the class name to be hidden. Then on MD, we're going to set this to flex. Width here is going to be full, and on SM, which is small screen width, our width is going to be, let's set this to 350 px. Then on the median screen width, our width is going to be 400 px. We need a bracket right here. We're going to set position to relative. Now inside the form, we need our input. I think the input should be quite the same thing, but we're going to change some things around. So let's copy this and paste it right in here as the input. So let's see what we have to change. We need the border. We need the border color. We also need the text color. And that's all we need from this class name. I think we need everything right here, but let's change some things around. On the dark, let's say on the dark theme, our text color is going to be gray 200. Then outline here is going to be none. We're going to set width to full, and next we're going to set padding to 4. Then padding right is going to be 17. Then rounded is going to be 8 px. That should be all. So I think we need a placeholder to be search. We are not going to change that. And we also need the search button we have right here. So let's copy this and paste it right. We're going to need it outside this input. So let's paste it right there. I think the host style is actually what we need, but I don't think we need this block and hidden. Let's remove this. So here we need absolute, we need right. By now we should have some things in the navigation bar. So let's see, as you can see, we already have our input in the navigation bar, and that is just what we have right here. So it's beginning to look quite good. So let's see, the button is just what we want. I don't think we're going to change anything in the button. So let's go ahead and create the modal button. So what we need next is going to be the modal button. So after this form input and this bracket, I'm going to get right outside here and create this button. So let's give this a class name, and here we're going to have cursor, and it's going to be pointer. Then on the median screen width, our position, display is going to be hidden, not position. Then right inside here, we're going to add our search icon. So let's copy this and paste this right in here. Then next, we're going to add a class name for this icon. We already have a class name, but let's change some things around. We don't need this margin right anymore. What we need here is text black. Then on the dark theme, let's set on the dark theme, our text color is going to be white. Now the stroke width is going to be 1.5 and size is going to be 20. We don't need this color anymore. Let's remove this. So next we can go ahead and let's see what we have here. So as you can see, this is available on the smaller screen. I think this navigation bar should disappear on the smaller screen, but that is not a problem for now. We can go ahead and continue with our drop downs, and later on we can figure out what the problem is. So what we have next is the toggle button for our light and dark theme. So let's go ahead and create that. So to add the theme toggle feature to our project should be quite easy. All you have to do is create a hooks folder inside this source folder. This is going to be the first step. So let's create a hooks folder. Then right inside it, we're going to create our use theme.jsx file. So let's say use theme.jsx. Now right inside here, we just need to run, let's see, I think we need to run RAFCA, and that is to create a workspace automatically. But this time around we are going to have something a little bit different. So we need to remove this and we're going to add it right up here. We're going to be exporting the use theme file automatically. So let's say export default use theme, but I think we need function right here. Let's say function, and that should be all we need. So I think we're going to remove this equator and the arrow function. This should work properly without any errors now. So we're going to import use effect. So let's say use effect. So this use effect is what we're going to use to store the dark and light theme to local storage to make sure it doesn't switch back to the previous theme whenever we reload our page. If you notice, when this page is done reloading, it won't change back to the dark theme, which means our dark and light theme is being saved to the local storage. I think there might be a network issue. So now the reload is complete, and as you can see, it didn't switch back to the dark theme, which means it's been saved to the local storage. So let's go ahead and do that. So what we have to do right in here is say use effect. Then we're going to create our arrow function right here. So in here we're going to say const stored theme. Now we're going to say it's equal to local storage dot get item. This is how we push the theme into the local storage. So here we're going to say theme, and we're going to say const prefer dark. This means that whenever someone is visiting our website, they don't have to toggle any theme. The first theme they're going to meet there is the dark theme. So let's say window dot match media. Then right inside here we're going to say prefers dash colors dash scheme, and it's going to be dark. This is going to set the automatic color whenever someone reloads our page or visits our page newly to the dark theme. So let's continue. Then outside here, I want to say dot matches. So after dot matches, we're now done storing our theme to the local storage. We need to add the toggle feature. So to do that, we need to get outside here and say const theme. I want to say is equal to stored theme. Now we're going to add our conditional statements. I'm going to say prefer dark. I'm going to check if prefer dark is true, and if prefer dark is true, the theme is going to be dark. But if it's not true, the theme is going to be light. We need to add the light and dark theme to our document, which is our full project. What you have to do is get outside here. I don't think we need this return. Let's go ahead and remove this. I don't going to need any of this. So I'm going to make sure this runs only once by adding this empty brackets right there. And next, can go ahead and create the button for the toggle. Let's see what the button looks like. As you can see, the button changes to a sun and moon icon depending on the theme mode. So let's create our button component. So right here, we're going to create a new component file, and we're going to say theme toggle. This is going to be the name of the component .jsx. Now inside it, we need to run RAFCE. Then inside this, we are going to import use state and use effect. So let's say use state and use effect. Next, we're going to import our sun and moon icon. So let's import moon and sun from Lucid React. Then next, we're going to go ahead and create our state for the switch icon. So let's say const switch icon. I'm going to say set switch icon, and we're going to say equal to use state. Then right inside here, we're going to set the state to true. Now we need our use effect for the storage. We need to get the light and dark theme from our local storage with the use effect. So let's say use effect. Then right inside here, we're going to use our arrow function. Now we're going to say const stored theme, and it's going to be equal to local storage dot get item. We're going to be getting the theme that we stored inside the local storage. Now we're going to set const is dark, and the stored theme is going to be dark. Then right after that, we need to set our document, which is actually what we used right here in the use theme, but it's going to be a bit different this time around for the document. So let's say document. What we are doing now is applying the stored theme from our local storage. So let's say document element. I'm going to say class list dot toggle, and here we're going to set this to dark. Then next, we're going to set is dark, and this has to be dark actually. The next, we're going to set switch icon to is dark. So basically what this does is that whenever we are in the dark mode, it's going to switch the icon to moon, which is what we're going to set as our dark mode icon. And if we're in the light mode, it's going to set the icon to sun, which is the light mode icon. Then next, we have to add our bracket right in here. So let's get here and add our bracket. I think we need a comma before the brackets to remove the error. Before we start creating our button, we still need some features for the toggle and also our icon toggle. So let's get outside here and create a const. So here we're going to call this const toggle theme. Now we're going to add our arrow function here. So here we're going to say const html is equal to document element. Now we need to get outside here and create another const. This time around we're going to have is dark, and we're going to say is equal to html dot class list. We need class list there. We're going to say class, I think it's a capital letter L. Yes, we're going to say class list. I think we need one S. Let's say class list dot contains dark. Then we're going to set new theme. So let's say new theme is equal to is dark and we are checking if dark is not available, which means whenever we click on the button, the new theme is going to become light. So let's say dark here for the previous theme, then the new theme is going to be light. Now we are going to set our HTML class list next. So after this, I'm going to say HTML dot class list dot. Let's make sure that class list is correct by copying this and pasting it here. This should make sure that the spelling is correct, and we can also avoid any error. So here we're going to say toggle, then we're going to say dark. I think this needs to be inside a string, and after the dark, we need to also toggle our new theme in case dark is not available. So here we're going to say new theme, and we also need to switch the icon. So let's say set switch icon to is dark. So let's go ahead and create the button. This is going to be a button tag, not a div. So let's say button. So right in here, we're going to add our onClick function. So let's say onClick. So onClick, we're going to be calling the toggle theme const right here. So let's say toggle theme. So right inside the button, we also need a class name. So here let's add our class name. I'm going to set stop to 4, then right is going to be 4, then bg, which is background, will be none, and on hover, whenever we hover on the button, the background is going to be green 50. That's on the light mode, but whenever we hover on the dark theme, so let's say hover, then dark. So on the dark theme, our hover is going to be bg gray 800. Then we're going to set padding to 2. Then next we're going to set our rounded to full. Next we have to set, this is going to be full. I have to set cursor to pointer now, and that's all we need. So next we're going to add our 2 icons. So let's grab the icon right here in the navbar. This should make things easier. We don't have to create another icon, we just need to change the name. So we're going to place it right inside the button here. We need 2 of them. So let's see, we need sun and moon. So let's copy the moon, paste it in here, and sun is going to be the next one. So sun is going to be right here. So this time around, size here is going to be 24, and let's set stroke width. Stroke width here is going to be 2. So let's add class name. The class name here needs a bracket, a curly braces, and a backtick. So let's remove the old string. So right in here, we're going to remove margin right and add text gray 700. So next, we're going to add the switch icon feature. So let's say switch icon. We're going to check if switch icon is true, then display here is going to be block. But if switch icon is false, then display here will be hidden. We just need the same thing for the next icon. So to make things easier, let's copy that and paste this right here. But we're going to have sun right here, but this is going to be a bit different this time around. We're going to have hidden here. This is going to be hidden, and right here we're going to have block. Now this should make things interesting. Let's see what it looks like in our navbar. I don't think it should be here since we haven't imported it in the navbar. Let's continue. So let's see what we have next. Next, we have to add use theme to our app.jsx to make sure the theme works globally in our project. So inside app.jsx, all we have to do is import theme after the component. So here we're going to import use theme. So let's get right down here after the app function. So here we're going to define use theme, and that should do it. So all we have to do next is import use theme in our navbar to use it in our button, and also we are going to import the use theme button. So let's get up here to import our button. It should be quite easy. All we have to do is import the components for the button, which is the theme toggle component right here. So let's get right, let's import it here. let's say import theme toggle, and that's the button components. So down here, let's find a place to place our button. So we're going to place it right inside a div after this div. So let's create a div, and here we're going to, let's give this a class name. Let's say flex. Then we're going to have items center, then gap is going to be 1. Next, we're going to call our use theme components right here. It's going to be a self-closing tag, and that should do it. I hope we don't get any errors. If we get any errors, it might be that our button is not being properly exported or imported. So let's go to our expect and see if we have any error right here in the console. As you can see, it says theme toggle is using incorrect casing. Let's see what the problem is. I think we need this to be an uppercase for theme toggle. So right here, let's use an uppercase. That should fix it. Let's check. It says theme toggle is not defined at navbar. I'm beginning to understand what the error is. This has to actually be an uppercase everywhere. So here, let's change this to an uppercase. It's going to ask us to update imports for theme toggle. Select yes, and here let's change this to an uppercase, and I think that should do it. It's now an uppercase everywhere. The error should be fixed now. As you can see, the error has been fixed. I don't think it actually works yet, but it should work. Let's go to the console and see if we have another new error. As you can see, we have a new error in the console. Let's find out what it is. So I think in our theme toggle components, there are 2 errors. First is the spelling of contains. It's actually wrong. So let's correct this. I'm going to say contains. And right here, I use 3 G's instead of just 1. Actually, we need 2 G's, not 3. So let's remove the third one, and that should fix the error. Now let's see if our toggle feature actually works. So as you can see, it works. Let's go ahead and continue with the other drop downs. So the next one is going to be our notification component. So let's create that. To create a notification component, we need to create a new file right here. Let's call it notification dropdown .jsx. So in here, we're going to run rafce, and right in here, to create a notification component should also be quite easy. We need a few icons, and also we're going to need useState from React. So let's import useState. So after useState, we're going to get down here and import our icons. So let's import. First, we're going to import bell. Let's remove the error. Let's say from Lucid React. Then the next icon is going to be circle alert, and the next one is going to be check circle. And after that, we need the credit card icon. So let's import that, and we're going to need send icon, and we're also going to need our squared check. This icon is going to be called square, not squared. We need square check big. Then next, we're going to import the bell ring icon. Let's say bell ring. I think this is correct. The name is bell ring. That should do it. And the last icon is going to be message square one end. And that's all the icons we need. So I'm just going to copy our array and paste this once more, because if you guys notice, we have some notifications here, and they are actually just arrays like what we had in the modal recent search. So I'm going to take some time out and create the array, since typing it out one by one is going to take a lot of time. So as you can see right here, we now have our array, our notification array right here. This is the array, and inside the array objects, we have some attributes. So here we have our ID, we have the icon, And let me explain what the icon does. This is the check icon right here, the check icon. Each object has different icons. Here we have credit card, and this is the credit card icon right here. So next we're going to have the dark BG color, which is the different background color for the icons. So next we have our title, which is the title of the notification. Here we have payments received, and this is payments received right here. Next we have the description, which is what the notification is about, and here we have our description. So that is just what I created. So I'm going to give you guys a quick look of what our array looks like, so you can create yours gradually. So this is what the array looks like. You can pause the video and type yours out gradually, and this is the end of the array. So what we're going to do next is create our notification drop down feature. So this feature that causes the notification to drop down whenever we hover on it, let's go ahead and create that. So let's say const notification drop down. Then we're going to use our arrow function. Right here we're going to say const. I think this is causing an error. Let's see what the problem is. The problem is the same name. Let's see how we can change the name. Okay, I think I guess what the problem is. We don't have to create a new one. We can use the one we already have, but we need to add the feature right in here before the return. So up here we're going to say const, then we're going to say is open, which checks if the notification drop down is open or not. So let's say set is open, and we're going to set it to false, which means by default the notification drop down is going to be closed all the time until we hover on the button. So let's continue. Next we're going to set const handle close. This is the feature that closes the notification drop down, and it's also going to need a hover effect to work. So right in here we're going to say if open, not open, we're going to say if is open, which means if this use state is true, we're checking if it's true, and if it's true we're going to set open to false. First we're going to say else. Else means if is open is not true, we're going to set is open to true. So I think there's an error here. Let's correct the spelling. That should do it. So next we can go ahead and create the drop down. So what we need here is position relative. So let's say relative, and after position relative we need to add our effect right in here. So let's create a div. So inside this div we're going to say on mouse enter. So on mouse enter we're going to use our arrow function to set is open to true. So here let's say set is open, we're going to set it to true. Now we also need the same thing once again. So let's copy this, paste this right here. Let's paste another one, let's delete the previous one. So this time around we're going to be using on mouse leave to close the drop down. So let's say on mouse leave we're going to set is open to false. Now inside the div we need to add a class name. Let's add a class name right here. So here we're going to have relative, then we're going to have padding, which is going to be 2, then rounded is going to be full, and on hover we're going to set bg green to 50. This actually has to be a semicolon. So on dark theme we're going to set our hover effect to our hover background color to 800, gray 800. Next we are going to set the transition to make the hover effect smoother. We're going to set cursor for the button to pointer. Actually I need you guys to understand that this div is going to be working as a button, but if we use a button it's going to cause an error. So let's go ahead and use our div instead. So let's set width here to full. Now right inside here we're going to use the bell icon we imported. So let's add bell, and it's going to be a self-closing tag. So here we need on click here Let's say on click handle close. What this does is actually simple. What this does is to close our drop down on the smaller screens, because if you guys notice on the smaller screen, let's go to inspect. Right here, you'll notice that when we click on this to open our drop down, it won't close except you have this handle close feature right here. So this is what closes our drop down on the smaller screens. So let's go ahead and continue. So what we have to do next is add some features to the icon. We need size, and the size here is going to be 22. Then we're going to add stroke width. We need stroke width, and it's going to be 2. We're going to add our class name. Here we need text black. Then on the dark theme, our text color is going to be gray 300. So next we can create the notification. Let's see what we have next. So next we're going to create these green dots we have right up here. This green dot only appears when notification is greater than 0, which means if you have no notification inside here, this green dot is going to disappear. So let's create the green dots. To create the green dots, we need to get outside this icon. So let's get outside here, and we're going to say notifications dot length is greater than 0, which means the green dot is only going to appear if notifications is greater than 0, which means if we have any notification, it's going to appear. So here, let's create a span. Now we're going to add a class name. We're going to have absolute for the position, then top is going to be 1, and right is going to be 1. Next one, set the BG, which is background, to green 300. The next one, set text color so white, and text size is going to be XS. Then we're going to set padding to 1, and width is going to be fit. Then we're going to set text to center to make sure it stays at the center of the div. And next we're going to set rounded to full, which is our border radius, and font size is going to be semi bold. I don't think we need this since it's just a span tag. There is no text inside it, so we're not going to need that, and we might not even need the text center. So let's remove this for now. Next, let's see what we have for now in our website. I don't think we're going to have anything yet since we haven't imported the notification component, and I think we have an error right here. Let's remove this to fix the error. That should do it. So let's see what we have next. We have to create the notifications itself and this notification text right here. So let's create that. So right outside this, we're going to create another bracket. This time around, we're going to set is open, and if open is true, we're checking if open is true, we're going to have our div. This is just like what we had in the navbar before. So down here, we're going to create a class name right inside this div. So here we're going to say absolute, and we're going to set stop to full, and on MD we're going to set right is going to be 0. Then on SM, right is going to be minus 20 px. The next we're going to set right on ladder screen width is going to be minus 40 px. The next one is going to set the index to 50, and width here is going to be 70. But from the median screen width, our width is going to be width here. I think we might have made a little mistake. There has to be a semicolon at the front of every MD and SM. I don't think there's any mistake, so let's continue. So here width is going to be 80, then height here is going to be 100. That should do it. So next we're going to set our BG to white. Then after that we're going to set our dark background color. So let's say dark BG, and we're going to have gray 900. Then next we're going to set our shadow so LG. Next rounded is going to be LG. The next one, set our overflow, so auto, and going to have scroll bar. This scroll bar is actually a custom CSS class which I created, but we can't create it right now since we are still busy with our notification dropdown. Later on, we're going to create our scroll bar custom CSS class right in here. So let's continue. So after scroll bar, we need to set our border. Let's say border, and next we're going to have border gray 200. Then we're going to set our dark border. So let's say dark border gray 700. Then what we have to do next is set our on mouse enter and mouse leave once more. So all you have to do is copy this and paste it right in here after the classes. So this should do it. Now inside this div we need to add another div. So let's create a div right here, and this time around it's going to have a class name also. So let's say px5 and py3. The next one is set fonts weight to semi bold, and next one is set text gray so 800, and dark we're going to have text white as our color. Then we're going to set our border color. We just need the border bottom, so let's say border B. The next we're going to have border gray 200. So on dark mode, our dark border is going to be gray 700. Then we're going to have flex. Actually, we need to add our display styles at the front. So let's say flex justify between. Then we're going to say items center, and that should do it. So right inside this one, we're going to add a span. So here, let's say span. Actually, we can use H1. So here, let's say notifications, and I think it's time to map over our notifications array. But before we do that, let's add our button here that shows the amount of notifications we have. I don't think it's accurate. Let's see if it's accurate. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, and yes, it's accurate. It only displays the amount of notifications we have. As you can see, we have 7 new notifications, and that's what it's showing. So let's make sure that works. So in here, we're going to say notifications dot length is greater than 0. This only appears if notifications is available. So in here, let's add a span. This is going to actually be a tag. So here we're going to add a class name. Let's set bg to blue 500. Then text here is going to be white. Text size is going to be xs. Then px, which is padding for left and right, is going to be 3. Then py, which is padding for top and bottom, is going to be 1, and rounded, which is border radius, will be full. And next, we're going to add font weight, and it's going to be semi bold. That should do it for the styling. Now in here, all we have to do is add our notifications dot length to display the amount of notifications we have inside the array, and we're going to add a text here that says new. So this means if we get right here and paste more notifications, let's say we now have 8 9 10, what we're going to have right here is 10 new. So let's remove the extra ones, and now we can continue. So let's see what we have next. We have the notifications. So let's create our notifications. So once again, we're going to check if notifications is available. So let's say notifications dot length, and here we're going to say is greater than 0. We're checking if notifications is greater than 0 to make sure that we actually have something inside the array before trying to display anything. So let's say notifications dot amp. Then right in here we're going to say notes. I think we have an error, but we can carry on. If the error persists, then we can try and find out what the error is. I think we should clear this out and start from beginning. We might have made a little mistake. So let's say notifications dot length is greater than 0. So let's add our question mark, and here we're going to say notifications dot map. And I think we have the same error once more, but let's just continue even with the error. We can find out what it is as we go on. So here, let's add our arrow function right here. So I think the error is actually right in front of us, since we need to place this whole bracket inside this div right here. So let's paste this in here, and once we add our elements right in here inside this bracket, the error should be gone. So let's go ahead and continue. So what we have to do right here is create a div. Let's create a div right in here, and as you can see, the error is gone since we now have an element right in there. So this has to get down here. I think we need another bracket here, but let's not give this another error. What we have to do now is continue with what we have. Let's add our elements right inside this div. So the first thing we're going to need is our ID. So let's add class name here. Before class name, let's add key, and the key here is going to be notes.id. Now down here, we're going to add our class name. So let's add our class name, and the class name here is going to be quite a lot. So let's start. We're going to start with flex items center. Items center. We're going to have gap 3, and after that, we're going to set px to 5, and py is going to be 3. The next, we're going to set our text color, which is going to be gray 700, and after that, we need to set the dark theme text color, and it's going to be gray 300. So after text gray 300, we need to set our text size. So let's say text sm. Then next, we're going to set our hover effect. So let's say hover, we're going to have bg gray 100. The next, we're going to set our dark hover effect. So let's say dark hover bg gray 800. The next, we're going to set cursor to pointer, and we're going to set transition for our hover effect. So we need border right here. It's going to be border bottom. So let's add a border bottom. So next, we need to add let's see what we have next. After border bottom, we are going to need border color. So let's say border gray 200. Then next, we're going to set our border on dark mode. So let's say border gray 700. Then next, we're going to set our last. We're going to say border none, which means for the last notification here, we won't have any border. If you notice, all we have here is border bottom here, and border bottom, but for the last one, there won't be any border bottom. So let's go ahead and continue. So what we need next is our notifications right in here, and to create the notifications should be quite easy. So let's get right inside here and create a div. So let's give this a class name. This needs to have a class name, and we're going to add flex items. We need items center. The next, we're going to have justify center. We need width, and it's going to be fit. Then height is going to be full. Next, we're going to set padding to 2, and rounded is going to be full. And after that, we need to set our text size for the notifications to 3XL. Then text is going to be white. Next, we need to add the different background colors. If you guys notice, on the dark theme and on the light theme, the background colors here is quite different. If you notice, they are lighter on the dark theme, then in the dark theme, background colors are darker. So now let's add that. We already have them in the array. If you guys notice, we have dark PG color and BG color. So let's make use of that. All you have to do is get right here and add the last line. Now we are going to say note dot. I think this needs to be inside a bracket and a backtick. So let's add our bracket and a backtick. So let's remove the strings. Then right in here, I'm going to say note dot bg color, and this should do it. Next, we're going to go ahead and set our dark mode. We're going to have, let's grab this and paste it here. On dark mode, we're going to have note dot dark bg color. This is going to be an uppercase. So that should do it. I think we are missing something. Okay, I don't think we're actually missing anything. The colors have changed. It was the color that looked odd, but now we can continue. Since there is no error, all we have to do now is place our icon right inside this div. So let's get inside here and say notes dot icon. So now we've created our icons. This is the icon that we just added inside the notifications with its separate backgrounds. So all we have to do next is create the notification text. And if you guys notice, the text here are actually sliced, which means it doesn't show the full text, and that is what we're going to be doing next. So let's get down here after the icons and create a div, and inside this we're going to have a h1 tag. It's going to say we need a class name here first inside the h1 tag. So here let's say font semi-bold, which is the font weight. Then text color is going to be gray 800. Then on the dark theme, our text color is going to be white. Now inside here we need to add the text, the sliced text right here that does not display the full text. So what we have to do is say note dot length, and actually we need title. We can say title dot length. Now in here we're going to check if the length is greater than 30, and we're going to cut the text short. So let's say if it's greater than 30, we're going to say note dot title dot slice. This is the feature for cutting the text short. We're going to say 0 and 30, which means if the text is greater than 30, then it won't display any more text. That is how we measure our text length and make sure it doesn't exceed 30. So what we have to do next is add plus dot dot dot, which is the dot 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 we have right here. So let's put this inside a string to avoid any errors. So next, what we have to do is add the conditional statement in case notification.length is not greater than 30. So let's get outside here and add a semicolon. So we're going to say notes.title, which means if notes.length is not greater than 30, it's going to display the full notification text. So let's carry on. What we have to do next is create another h1 tag, and this time around it's for the description. So this is the notification we just dealt with, the notification title, and now we are trying to get the description, which is down here. Actually, I made a mistake. The one with the dot 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 was the one down here, which is the description. All we have to do is copy this and paste this down here, then change some things around. So here we're going to have description instead. Description. So let's copy this, paste it here and here, and that should do it for our description. That's all we need. So let's carry on with the next thing. So right in here, if no notifications are available, we're just going to show no new notifications. Let's add a class name to this div. So in here we're going to have px5 and py is going to be 4. Then the color of this text is going to be gray 500. Then on the dark theme, the color of our text here is going to be gray 400. Then next we're going to set text to center, and text sm is going to be our text size. Then we're going to add select. So we're going to set select to none. Then right after that we're going to add the button down here that says see all notifications. So to create the button, we need to get right outside this last one, actually we need to get outside this div. Sorry, this is brackets, not the div. So here we're going to create a div, and inside we're going to have a button. Then the button is going to say see all notifications. So it needs a class name here. The class name here is going to be p3, and the button also needs a class name. The style here is going to be quite long. We're going to set width to 4, and py is going to be 2, then px will be 4, background, which is bg, will be blue 500, and rounded will be md. We're going to set our hover to bg blue 600, which is a hover effect. Then transition is going to be colors, transition colors for the hover effect. Then we're going to set the duration of the hover effect, so 200. And I think we need to set, let's see what we have in the button. We have our focus ring and the focus color. So let's go ahead and add that. We're going to say focus, and on focus we're going to add outline. We're going to set outline to none. Then focus ring, focus. I think it's not focus ring. On focus we're going to have a ring, and it's going to be 2. That's the width of the ring. Then next, the focus ring color. Let's say focus ring, and the color is going to be blue 500. Then focus ring opacity is going to be 50, and that's all the style we need for this button. So that should do it for our notification drop down. As you can see, that's a lot of code. Let's see what we have next. What we are going to create next is the settings drop down. I would like you guys to be patient, since we need to create our components before you can see anything in here. For now, this is all we have in our navbar. When we are done creating the components, we can now import them in here, and we can see everything we have, which are the light and dark mode toggle, the notification drop down, settings drop down, and profile drop down. So let's go ahead and continue with the settings drop down.